Let's set the scene. The year is 2026. Picture a lone figure, an astronaut, floating weightless inside a silent spacecraft. He's light years from home. And when I say silent, I mean silent. There are no engine rumbles, no crackle of chatter from mission control. Nothing. Just the low, sterile hum of the life support systems and the vast, crushing emptiness of deep space staring back from every single viewport. His name is Ryland Grace, a scientist played by Ryan Gosling, and he's just woken up from a long, long cryosleep with absolutely no memory of who he is or why he's there. The faces of his crewmates are just ghosts in the machine. His mission parameters? A terrifying, complete blank. You know, time is supposed to be his most precious resource out here, but as the ship's clock relentlessly ticks forward, it's also becoming his greatest enemy. He is on a one-man mission to save the world, and he doesn't even know it yet. In this profound, almost unimaginable isolation, there's one thing that remains constant. It's a device strapped firmly to his wrist, its screen glowing with this cool digital light in the otherwise sterile cockpit. And let me tell you, this is not just a watch. Out here, it's a mission timer. It's a data analyzer. It's his only tangible link to the routines he has to rebuild from scratch just to survive. In the void, it's his only companion, a lifeline. To answer that question, we have to pull back from deep space and uncover a story that's not about interstellar travel at all. Now, this is a story about a high-stakes gamble played right here on Earth. It's a story about a legendary brand, a true Hollywood superstar, and a watch that, believe it or not, desperately needed a new mission of its very own.
So before we get to the glitz of Hollywood, we really need to understand the hardware. We need to get hands-on with this thing. And trust me, this is no ordinary smartwatch. This watch belongs to a really fascinating and, let's be honest, pretty niche category, the luxury smartwatch. The whole idea here is to take all the incredible functionality of a modern connected device, your GPS, your heart rate, your notifications, and then wrap it in the fit, the finish, and the feeling of a true Swiss timepiece. It's a very, very difficult balancing act, and honestly, not many brands even dare to attempt it.
The watch on Ryland Grace's wrist is the TAG Heuer connected Calibre E5. Now, I want you to imagine picking this thing up. The first thing you'd notice is that it feels substantial, it has presence. But it's also surprisingly light. That's because the big 45mm case is machined from grade 2 titanium, the same stuff prized in aerospace for its insane strength-to-weight ratio. Then it's coated in this stealthy, matte black diamond-like carbon, or DLC. It feels cool to the touch, almost silky, and it's incredibly scratch-resistant. The fixed bezel that frames the screen isn't plastic, it's crafted from a single piece of matte black ceramic, a material that's almost as hard as diamond. So that frame is going to look pristine whether you're surviving atmospheric re-entry or just knocking it on your desk. And that screen, the portal to everything it does, is this vibrant, high-tech OLED display protected by a thick, totally unscratchable sapphire crystal, exactly the same material used on the finest, most expensive mechanical watches in the world. And right here on this spec sheet, you can see the watch's dual personality. On one side, you have these incredible luxury materials, titanium, ceramic, sapphire. But on the other, you have the pure tech, a custom-built operating system, GPS, heart rate monitor, a compass, an accelerometer. It's truly designed to be a serious piece of equipment, both as a functional tool and as a luxury object. And that price tag, $24.50, plants it firmly in the territory of some very serious Swiss mechanical watches. But this watch represents so much more than just a list of materials. It's the physical embodiment of a bold and pretty risky experiment for TAG Heuer. The whole connected line, which first launched back in 2015, was the brainchild of the absolute legend Jean-Claude Biver, a man famous for his loud, bombastic, and disruptive approach to the old-school Swiss watch industry. It was later championed by the young CEO Frederick Arnold, who saw it as the brand's literal bridge to the future. All of this makes the watch a fascinating, high-tech outsider in a very traditional family, constantly fighting to prove that circuits and software deserve a place alongside the sacred springs and gears of its mechanical brothers. And that, right there, is the crucial question for any luxury product, but especially one with a battery. Technology ages, right? It gets outdated. But a great story is timeless. For the connected to truly succeed, to become more than just a gadget, it needed more than just faster processors or brighter screen. It needed a legend. It needed a hero. Okay, so to understand why this specific watch ended up on mankind's most critical mission, we have to talk about the man wearing it, Ryan Gosling, and the massive, massive bet that TAG Heuer was making.
this wasn't just simple product placement. This was a strategic masterstroke that was actually years in the making. It all kicked off back in 2021 when TAG Heuer announced a shocking new partnership with Ryan Gosling. Now, this was a massive deal, and here's the crucial fact that most people don't know. Gosling had famously never, ever endorsed a single brand before. Think about that. Not a car, not a cologne, not a suit, nothing. In an industry where A-list celebrities will lend their face to just about anything, Gosling was known for being intensely private and incredibly selective. So for him to finally sign on meant this was way more than just a paycheck. This was a genuine partnership, one where he had a real say in how the watches were used, allowing him to integrate them into his roles in a way that felt completely authentic to the character. And if you look at the timeline, you can see this partnership unfolded like a carefully crafted cinematic journey. It started out pretty subtly. In the 2022 action flick, The Gray Man, he wears a classic, super understated Carrera 3 hands. It's the perfect choice for his character, a quiet, deadly professional. Then, in 2023, he starred in this fantastic action comedy short film celebrating the Carrera's 60th anniversary. But the moment that everything just exploded was, of course, Barbie. Gosling himself went into the TAG Heuer archives and handpicked 3 vintage gold Carreras to wear all at once as Ken. It was brilliant. It was hilarious, and it was a totally character-driven choice that went viral and became a huge part of the whole Kenergy phenomenon. This timeline shows a really purposeful evolution. Gosling first built a solid foundation with the brand's mechanical heart, its history, before making the huge leap to its technological future. Now let's talk about the stakes for TAG Heuer, because while this partnership was absolutely flying high, the connected watch line was facing a really serious internal challenge. Despite being a huge focus for the brand since 2015, analysts were reporting that the Connected had sort of plateaued, making up only about 10% of TAG Heuer's total revenue. And this chart just shows the problem perfectly. You can see it right there. In a showroom that is dominated by the sales of motorsport legends like the Monaco, the legendary square-cased chronograph worn by Steve McQueen in Le Mans, and timeless icons like the Carrera, the Connected was just struggling to find its identity. For tech people, it was a really expensive alternative to an Apple Watch. And for traditional watch lovers, well, it wasn't a real watch. It was caught in this impossible middle ground. It desperately needed a new mission to prove its worth. And this is where the absolute genius of the plan comes into focus. The film's title itself became the perfect metaphor for the brand's whole strategy. This placement was, quite literally, a Hail Mary pass. A bold, incredibly high-profile bet-it-all play to redefine the watch, to prove its relevance, and to elevate its appeal in a way that no boring marketing campaign ever could. So this begs the question, why this watch? Why not a custom-made sci-fi gadget or even a classic mechanical moonwatch? Well, the answer lies in 3 layers of perfect synergy. First, Ryland Grace is a scientist. The man lives and breathes data. So the watch isn't just for telling time, it's his tool for calculations, for timing critical experiments down to the millisecond, for analyzing his own biometric feedback to see how his body is holding up under extreme stress. It's an extension of his scientific mind. Second, think about the psychology of his isolation. Can you imagine? In that lonely, silent void, a smart device isn't a distraction, it's a companion. It provides routine, structure, a tangible connection to the logic and order he needs to stay sane. And finally, there's the thematic resonance. Project Hail Mary is a story about using advanced technology and hard science to serve a deeply emotional, human purpose, saving everyone we love. And the watch perfectly mirrors this. It's a piece of advanced tech, but through its story and its vital role on Grace's wrist, it becomes something profoundly personal. It couldn't have been any other watch. So the gambit was made, the script was written, the scenes were shot, and the TAG Heuer Connected officially went to space. The Hail Mary pass was thrown. But what happened when the movie came back down to Earth? What was the real legacy of this mission? Well, the mission's true impact really became clear once the film was released. You see, the on-screen heroism created this incredibly powerful narrative that directly elevated the watch's real-world perception. Before the movie, it was a very nice, very expensive luxury fitness tracker. After the movie, it was a hero's tool. This is the power of storytelling in the luxury world. It gives an object what we call narrative equity, an intangible value that goes way beyond its parts. After seeing it on Ryland Grace's wrist, saving the world, it's impossible to see it as just a gadget anymore. The story has fundamentally changed the object. And the story didn't just end when the credits rolled. No, it continued on the press tour. At the London premiere, Gosling wore the brand new, vintage-inspired Carrera chronograph Seafarer. This was a brilliant move because it reinforces the breadth of his relationship with the brand. He's not just the smartwatch guy.
This consistent, authentic integration on and off screen is what makes the whole thing feel so real, and it absolutely worked. The placement sparked countless articles and forum discussions on places like Hodinkee and What You Seek. The mission was clear: shift the perception of the connected. And by tying it to one of the biggest stars and most anticipated films of the year, TAG Heuer finally gave it the legendary story it was missing. So after its incredible journey to the stars and back, what is the final verdict on the TAG Heuer Connected Calibre E5? Did the mission actually succeed? And maybe more importantly, is it a watch I would want to own? Okay, before I give you my personal take, let's just lay out the case objectively. On the pro side, this is an exceptionally well-made device. The luxury materials, the finish, they are undeniable, and its software offers genuinely useful features for fitness and just daily life. And of course, the movie partnership is one of the most thoughtful and authentic we have seen in years. On the con side, you can't ignore the price. $2,450 is a lot for a piece of tech that, unlike a mechanical watch, will inevitably become outdated. And it still faces that core challenge. It's competing against tech giants like Apple and Garmin on one side, while also competing for your attention against TAG Heuer's own legendary mechanical watches on the other. So, what's my verdict? You know, while a part of me will always love the timeless romance of a mechanical Carrera, the story of this watch, the Connected, makes it unbelievably compelling. It represents a huge risk. It represents a belief in the future from a brand that is steeped in the past. It's the underdog in the catalog. And this mission with Ryan Gosling finally gave it a soul. Owning it isn't just about owning the latest tech. It's about owning a piece of that audacious, incredible story. And for that reason, I think the Hail Mary pass was a massive success. But look, that's just my take. The story presents a really fascinating choice for all of us. Do you go for Ryland Grace's high-tech, mission-critical tool, knowing that its technology has a shelf life? Or do you opt for one of the timeless mechanical Carreras that Gosling wore as Ken, a watch that will literally tick on for generations? In the end, this ambitious placement was its own Project Hail Mary, a bold bet that a great narrative could elevate a product into a true legend. It's just a fascinating example of how cinema can completely change our perception of an object. It kind of reminds me of the story of the Hamilton Murph watch from Interstellar, but that's a topic for another time. Right now, I want to hear from you. What's your call? The high-tech heroes tool or the timeless classic? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe. New watch stories every week. Watch everything. Tick drop.